Why are spiritual people having so much trouble with money while some people that are not at all spiritual connected have such an easy time creating money? That has been a question that has been bewildering me. And over the last 5 years, I have really started to understand why this is and how spiritual people can actually become very wealthy. And this is as simple as I can create it, an explanation of this whole concept. It has actually a lot to do with the energy body. Let me give you an example and a picture that will make this clear. If you have the light of the sun and you have a raindrop, that raindrop distorts the light of the sun into a lot of different colors, like the rainbow we all love. You know, this beautiful spectrum of colors with all of their personal frequencies and all of their kind of elements and things, you know, like just red feels different than green, green feels different than purple. They all have a certain feeling, a certain frequency band. And just a single drop of water is able to distort that light into its different qualities, into the whole spectrum. Now, in that same fashion, you and I are also beings of light. And our pure light, our pure essence, also gets distorted into multiple spectrums. Now, these multiple spectrums have been, by the ancient Eastern tradition, signified and named chakras. There are a lot of energy waves, there's a lot of energy moving through the body. That's the light that's being distorted. And these chakras all govern a certain quality. These qualities are also linked with frequencies, they're linked with organs, they're linked with glands and different functions in the body, but also functions in your outer reality and in your outer world. So, to properly illustrate this whole financial thing and why spiritual people most of the time have difficulty and non so spiritual people, I want to explain this through the chakra system. So let me give you a chakra system right here. The chakra system, let me make sure I point this right. The chakra system, the base chakra system, has these 7 colors. And these 7 colors are they are later been discovered. Actually, the first original chakra systems, they didn't have colors, but they definitely had their own governing qualities. So if I go from these colors, let me make sure I sit here correctly. So the red is called the root. The root has been very connected with earth. It has also been connected with survival, your basic instincts, with your body as well. And this lower chakra is the first chakra that is developed. So when you're a baby, there's nothing you can do. It's just about survival, and you just hope that when you cry, somebody feeds you or somebody changes your diaper or, you know, like gives you love. This lower quality is the root chakra. Then you go to the sacral chakra. That has a lot to do with more like watery, in my understanding. There are different understandings, but in my understandings, it is water elements. It has to do with flow, with emotion, also with touch. So people and babies, when they are developing, they start touching everything. They start touching everything and tasting everything, and they start to just grab everything they can grab. They start to touch physical reality. It also has to do with physical sexual activity, with pleasure, with giving pleasure and receiving pleasure. So this is a powerful one, and also a lot of people believe that this is the source of their creativity. So their creative flow can really come from here. Then we go to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is in between, if your ribs, when your ribs kind of close there, in the middle, there is the solar plexus. It's also called the solar plexus in biology. But this chakra is your center of light and willpower, it's confidence. It's also about aligned action and about exploration. And that's why when a child is around 2, 3 years old, they start to just run everywhere and explore everywhere. That is when your third chakra is getting being activated and being announced. And then you start explaining, you start touching the hot stove, and you're never gonna touch that again, and you start to run way too fast than your legs can handle, and you just fall face plant forward, and you know you need to run a little bit slower. So you start to develop your own self image. So that's cool. And these three chakras are the chakras that are governing your inner system. They're very inward focused and they're very focused on physical reality. When we go upward, we go to the more upper chakras, and I will explain them in a little bit, but there is something very tricky going on here. Because in harmony, in frequency, you see this not only in the chakra system, you see this on the piano and in sound. You see this in light and how light moves, and like what I just talked about, the rainbow, how that moves. There is a certain jump, a frequency jump. And that frequency jump expresses itself like below the root. Below the root, there is such a jump. And then between the solar plexus and the heart, there is such a jump. And then above the crown, there is such a jump. This jump in frequency is been reflected in our inner experience as a double-sided mirror. Now, what I mean with that is if you are living in the lower tree and you want to look up, it looks like a mirror. It looks like this is the only place that you can be. So when somebody is not on the spiritual path or not on the path to love themselves and others at least, they will think this is all of reality. Because this acts as a mirror, this jump acts as a mirror. And you see this in the piano, that's the place where there is no black key, right? So there is no black key here, there's no black key there, there's no black key there. This is the same frequency is been expressed into a lot of different patterns everywhere in this life. So you will see the more you are on the spiritual path, the more patterns you see. This is such a pattern. How does frequency move? How does vibration move? Now here there is this jump. When you never experienced a heart opening, you will keep being here. And I had this. I was spiritually connected, but at one point somebody, a very dear friend of mine, I bless her, I really am so grateful for the moment when she said to me, "Hey Phil, I don't know if we can continue this relationship together because I feel you are not in your heart." And I was maybe a young 20, 21-year-old. I was like, tell me more, because I was already into personal development, but she felt something that I couldn't see because she was already moving upwards in her development of her energy centers. And I was still here. And whenever I wanted to look up, I couldn't even see it. And she guided me through a heart opening experience. And as soon as I felt it, I also felt there was a lot of protection in the heart. You know, like when you are young, you want to protect the most important center. And so there can be a lot of emotional and mental protection around the heart. So it's not easy when you've never done this to actually open the heart. But once you open it, this mirror opens, and all of a sudden you are seeing that you have a heart center, but that you also have a throat center, that you also have a third eye center, and then you also have a crown center. And then the spiritual journey truly, truly starts. So in the heart, you start understanding that you are one. Instead of that this is a dualistic nature, you are one. And because you are one, it's the best possible way is that you can constantly give and constantly receive from others. So when somebody gives something to you, you can properly receive that. And wow, thank you. I really appreciate that you give this to me. At the same time, you want to give because you're actually just giving love and appreciation and compliments and whatever you want to give to other people. You start to really center in a more giving and receiving and a more unified reality as soon as this mirror opens up. But as soon as the mirror opens, it's literally the cat is out of the bag, because very soon after the heart, you will understand the throat. And the throat has to do with vibrational. It has to do with vibration. Of course, we can create vibration out of our throat. We can understand vibration more. This is also a center connected with truth and speaking, of course, but not only speaking in the throat sense, the literal throat sense, but also in your creativity, in your expression, in your painting, in your reach. So this is a very beautiful center that has a lot to do with truth, also absolute truth, divine truth, and how to see this world as a vibrational reality. And then we go to the third eye center. This has a lot to do with your awareness. This has a lot to do with your higher intelligence, your higher self coming through. That's why a lot of yogis also will point their eyes to the center to get into connection with their higher reality, with their higher self. This center is also been able to see fractal reality clearly. And this center opens up as well with psychedelic medicine. Now, you don't have to use psychedelic medicine to open this center, but it can be a nice shortcut in a way to just show you how fractal reality really is and how everything around you is living intelligence and light. Psychedelics are an easy way, but then also you need to come down, and the best way after that, or in general, is just to explore this reality while sober. It's the best way possible to open the third eye, is actually to do it sober. And then finally, there is the crown. The crown has also been called the 1,000-petaled lotus, like a beautiful, many petaled lotus flower on top of your head. And this crown has a lot to do with the cosmos. It's in a way your antenna, and it's also your balance. So the crown balances all the other chakras, but it's also really the connection to spirit, your connection to maybe other planets, your connection to different archangels and things like that. And there are actually a lot more chakras and in between and above and below the body. But that is a whole nother topic on its own. And I think with this model, we can already explain so much. Okay, back to the topic. What has this to do with money, G? I understand that you say that, but I needed to explain this full model. It has to do with the following. Your chakra system. These areas have to do with your physical reality. The upper areas have to do with your higher reality, your more ethereal reality. This lower part has to do with your own well-being. The higher part has to do with the well-being of everyone. There are these mirrors here. Once a spiritual person opens up this mirror and discovers all of this, it doesn't want to ever leave this. These centers are so blissful. They are so high. They make life lighter. They make life more beautiful. You extract way more meaning. You see patterns. You see so many things going on here. And you forget there is a mirror here. So what happens is that the spiritual person, and I see this in my coaching, I saw this in myself, then I fix it in myself, then all of a sudden I got a lot of coaching clients. I was able to fix it with them too. This mirror, this vibrational shift is still there. Once you're so much in the upper centers, if you want to look down, you kind of forget. It's a double-sided mirror. You kind of forget. And instead of being stuck in the lower part, you're stuck in the higher part. And in the higher part, you're just bliss and love and everything. And money should not exist. And love, like the hippies are here, you know? The maybe the starving artists are here, because artists receive a lot of the higher centers, right? But also the starving spiritual people are here. They only here. And these centers are not necessarily governing the physical reality, while money comes from the physical reality. This is a man-made construct. Money is a man-made construct, actually, to make our lives a lot easier. But if you neglect it, and if you think that only this is life, and you forget to include the lower centers, that's when things get hard around the money topic. Because the lower center, survival, we need money in most cases to survive. Creativity and pleasure. If you want to be creative, if you want to be pleasure, if you want to receive many pleasures in life, money is a very easy way to do so. And then the action, aligned action. You are cut off from your aligned action. So you can be in the bliss realm all you want. If you're not doing anything with that bliss in your physical life, you might be thinking like, oh my God, I'm doing all the right things and I'm meditating, I'm doing this and I'm that. Why God, please, why am I still having an empty wallet? Because that mirror is cutting you off from doing something with what you have received. And our job, and since 5 years, my job, because I in 2020 I discovered this. I realized it was a true problem that I was only in the higher centers. It was a true. I just realized, okay, I need money in this life. I don't want to be a monk, even though that might have been a nice path for me. I don't want to be a monk. I want to interact. I want to be in physical reality too. So I need to start learning how to include my whole energy body, my whole energy being. If you're only in the lower centers, and that's why it's so easy sometimes for non-spiritual people, if you don't even know about this, if you don't even know about this higher, you're in the lower centers and you're just thinking about, okay, how can I survive? How can I have enough money in the bank? How can I make sure I provide pleasure for myself and my family? How can I make sure I look good? How can I make sure my image, my perceived reputation and all of that is good? You're just working on that. You don't even know that there is a higher reality. And even though this will never, if you're only here, this will never last. A person always realizes one way or another that this is not the way. This also can feel like a rat race. But at least this rat race is produced a lot of income and a nice house, and like the physical reality has been set, while the spiritual has been missing. But that's why money is easy, because this is money. The other person, the hippie, the intuitive, at least the starving intuitive, the starving hippie, they are here. They forget that they also need to do aligned action. They also need to make sure to work on their survival, to feel safe, to make sure themselves and their family is safe. Those are lower energy center qualities. Do you see how this dynamic actually provides you with the solution? We need to incorporate all things. And if you are a person that has been in these upper brackets, let's make sure you are including the lower parts. So that's beautiful. And if you're like if you are a person that has only been here and has been like, what is even heart center? Like, what is love? What is love? In that case, go up, start to open your heart, and the rest of the centers will open up after that. So like when it comes to that, really start focusing on your heart center. And at one point you will notice it will open, the protection will lift, and you will be able to go to the higher. But I want to focus this video based on people that are here and they want to make sure they include money back so that the whole system starts flowing again. So let's go. How can we include money back? We need to make sure that this mirror is opening up again. How do we open it up again? We need to stay in the spiritual. We should not leave the spiritual. The spiritual is awesome. All of these higher qualities and intuitions are awesome. But we need to make sure we put it into action. We need to make sure everything that we receive, we bring back to earth. We start to make our hands dirty. Like if you feel you can create or you want to sell gemstones, or if you feel you want to write a book, or if you feel you want to brand mugs, or whatever you want, like whatever you feel, if it just is here in your head and everything, and you don't make physical steps, yeah, you can wait for a long time until it manifests and just materializes in front of you. Or you don't have to wait a long time, and you can start today with aligned action. We need to activate this solar plexus again. So take the spiritual and put it in aligned action. Put it into the third energy center. What can I do with this knowledge? What can I do with this intuition? What can I do with these healing hands? What can I do with the things that I receive? Oh, maybe I can share them on YouTube. Now, then an aligned action is to open your YouTube channel. Just to go there and see how to open a YouTube channel, right? It's the you get out of your own way and just like, okay, what is the next action step that I can take based on this knowledge that I have? Oh, I want to sing, but I feel shy. Okay, let's start taking singing lessons. Let's see if there is a jamming circle somewhere in the city. I want to speak, but I don't know how to speak. Maybe you can go on Meetup and you can go to a speaking event. And maybe you don't even have to speak, but you just are surrounding yourself with other speakers. You see this aligned action start to create momentum. I just so this momentum will then start to create a lot of other things. The mirror starts opening up, and then your lower centers, your creativity starts to become back online. Your ingenuity, your genius will start to also start to move, start to rotate. As soon as that starts to flow, your creative potential starts to flow, you start to create things of value. You maybe are able to help other people out. You maybe start to learn the skill of like some creative potential that you have. And then, of course, we needed to bring it all the way down to the root center. I feel so funny in this video. Sorry for my weird humor. The root center is where we truly create traction with physical reality. And this is so powerful. The word traction, like a wheel of a car can spin, but when it's up in the air, it doesn't have any traction. Or when it's on very ice, when it's on very icy ice, very slippery ice, it doesn't have traction. But as soon as it hits earth, and the earth is good and it creates traction, then you create true momentum. The root chakra is here for that, all of that movement that you have created, to put it onto earth, to interact with physical reality, to put it out into the marketplace, to really do and set up your market stand, or make your course and put them online, or have you really click something into physical reality. And as soon as that happens, you create traction. Now, what is so insightful about the word traction? What would be the opposite of traction? What would be the opposite of this? Distraction. Distraction and traction are opposites of each other. Or you can do a lot of action and create momentum, or you can do a lot of action, but you will go nowhere. And if you have been feeling stuck, you probably have created more distraction than traction. So if you want to get unstuck, and this is very practical, honest advice, start going into traction and stop distraction. Only watch content that is truly inspiring you and benefiting you. Don't watch content that you feel just more drained inside. Like, go for something that gives you energy and gives you inspiration, and then take that inspiration from the upper sentence. Start speaking about it. Start creating your own twist about it. Start seeing how with love you can nourish this new idea and this inspiration. Then take inspired action. Then create something from that inspired action, and then put it into earth, and all of a sudden you are completely embodying your whole being. And I think that's the only way we can last and we can create true happiness, if we start incorporating all of this. Because the lower part, if you're only in the lower part, you will not be truly happy. You will feel like you're in the rat race, and at one point your soul will be like, what are we doing this for? And then people awaken or have a midlife crisis or something. The upper parts are the starving people they will also not be happy because they will just realize, hey, something is not working. I seem to constantly have no money, and I have been part of that bracket. And I needed to realize, oh, I need to make sure I do everything. And that's what I love so much about the Sacred Alignment Academy, because this model is what we use to create. So every week we go up and down and up and down and up and down, so that within 90 days people have their first paying clients, and within 180 days, the next 90 days, they will make double the amount that they were making at their best paying job. That's the promise. And I'm very sure that by completely incorporating this, especially if you're already spiritually attuned, you already have developed these higher centers so much. They don't need much more development. It's really about, okay, let's get into action. Let's invest in yourself. Let's take the next step. Let's learn the platform you want to interact with. Let's learn the things you need to do, or interact with people that already know the things that you need, so that you can really bring things to the market, to the people, so that people can buy what you have to sell in whatever way possible. And in so doing, you will be very abundant and very spiritual, and you will incorporate your whole being into this whole picture. So I hope this was helpful. This insight for me I have been able to go from my 9 to 5 boring computer science job that was very well paid, to at the moment now completely living in time freedom, creating a beautiful community, and having so much impact and so many beautiful clients, only doing what I love, only talking where I love talk about. There is just like no nonsense anymore in my life. And that is because 5 years ago, I decided to incorporate all of this. And it doesn't have to take 5 years for you. I think, like I had a call, and then I will stop the video and so you can get going. And like I had a call a couple weeks ago with one of you. Like I did some calls after the August of Abundance event. I just invited people for a chat. And somebody asked about money, and they wanted to go on a trip, and they wanted to have some money. And I was like, okay, can I coach you for a minute? And I think I only coached her for 10 to 20 minutes. It only took 10 or 20 minutes. After that call, she said, okay, I'm going to do something with it. 5 days later, she texts me. He says, oh my God, 14 people signed up for my event. I made more than 2,000 euros in the last 2 days. So with only 20 minutes of incorporating this system, that person was able to make more than 2,000 euros in 2 days. I don't know any job that will pay you 2,000 euros in 2 days. But you and your creativity and your passion can definitely generate that. And that's what I'm here about. That's what I'm here to teach you. I'm here to make every spiritual seeker abundant on the financial plane, because it is so nice and it is so important that we start to thrive in this life, in this physical reality, as well as in the spiritual realms. So I'm very inspired. I'm very ready to go. If you would love to really make this into a beautiful practice where every week you go through this system again and again and again, and you are abundant very soon, then come join me in the Sacred Alignment Academy. And if you're not ready for that yet, I will dedicate my YouTube channel more and more to really unpacking this. So if you have a question for me, a next video topic, or something you really want to learn about this topic, about how you can become more financially affluent, please leave it in the comments. I had so much fun like understanding this, creating this, and I have even more fun bringing more people on this financial, abundant and prosperous journey, because you are here to thrive, especially the spiritual people are here to thrive. So let's embody all of it, and I see you in the next video. Much love.